Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, what is significant about this story in Politico today?
Well, it's yet another Democrat prosecutor who is going after Donald Trump allies. Maybe Donald Trump, I suppose that's conceivable. He was encouraging alternate electors and a challenge on January 6th of the certification of the electors. You know, the same thing that Jamie Raskin and other Democrats did in the previous election, trying to overturn it in favor of Hillary Clinton. It's okay when they do it, but when anybody connected to Donald Trump does it, it's a felony.
It's unbelievable the day it becomes Trump-Biden officially, the day that Kristen Sinema says she's out, a day that the Georgia case seems to be ready to blow up. They all of a sudden in Arizona say, I got something to do. Meanwhile, let's talk about the Fani Willis case to see if she stays on it and Nathan Wade stays in it. The more we find out, the more it's so clear to me as a civilian who isn't burdened by law school to say these people have flat out lied. Listen to Ashley Merchant as they ask her questions, as she goes to bat for one of the Trump defendants, ask her questions about their relationship and how she got this information. Listen.
He said that they met at a judicial conference before. He was very specific that it was before she became DA. And he told me, you know, they met at hotels. He would go to her place. So,
and this is before he gets hired in November of 21.
Yes. There was a period of, I think it's 15 or 16 days where he did not have a contract. Which also happened to be one of the times they were out of town. But so they re-upped the contract. The cap was significantly higher.
He was getting paid twice as much with no experience to prosecute the President of the United States, and said the relationship started. She says the relationship started in 2022. She's showing that it started as early as 2019.
Yeah, you could have been the next Clarence Darrow. I think you're right on the money.
My instincts are good, Greg.
Fani Willis is like the picture of Dorian Gray. She is disintegrating before our very eyes by virtue of her own misconduct that has ruined her credibility and certainly tainted the case. And the more we find out through hearings like this, the more alarming it is. There's now testimonial and documentary evidence that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade's testimony during the hearing was dishonest, and they could be in legal jeopardy because of it. Look, the judge has no choice here. This is an obvious impropriety. It's a violation of the ethical rules of evidence, regardless of when the affair began. I think the judge will remove her from the case, Nathan Wade as well. Then the question is, what happens to the prosecution? Could be transferred to Cobb County. Fresh prosecutorial eyes may look at it and say, this ain't a racketeering case.
Last question. And that is about the Alec Baldwin situation. In July, I understand he goes on the stand, but yesterday, not a good sign for him. The armor in charge of handling the weapons on the set of Rust get convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Right. What does that mean for Alec Baldwin?
It means he will likely be convicted if the same evidence is put forth in the armorer's trial. Most of the evidence was about the reckless conduct of Alec Baldwin. And remember, recklessness, gross negligence, failure to exercise due caution, that is manslaughter. They had videotapes of Alec Baldwin in a different scene recklessly handling the gun. The script supervisor said he was out of control and failing to protect the safety of others in the mishandling of the gun. So,
and that's not even his case.
No, and it's not even his case. So there's going to be more evidence, and experts are going to say, he claimed he didn't pull the trigger. It's impossible with that gun. So, you know, things are not looking good for Alec Baldwin. He was called a prima donna during the trial. I'm shocked.
I had no idea.
Aren't you, Alec Baldwin, a prima donna?
He doesn't profile like that.
I don't get it.
Greg Jarrett, thanks so much.